Welcome, friends, to our session, our fourth in our series here, just for Adult Day professionals, on things we can do to make our day better and our clients' day better in Adult Day programming. Today, we're going to talk about the Just Right Challenge, and this is based on an occupational therapy model. My colleague, Dr. Angelica Kakusko, developed this presentation for us here today, but she had an emergency and wasn't able to make it here today. So I am stepping in here and I'm hoping to do it justice. I know sometimes we have a colleague who joins us here who is an occupational therapist at her adult day program. So if you're here, by all means, please jump in. We have a nice small group here today, so we look forward to everybody's participation. Please use chat, or you can even unmute your microphone. Would love to hear your voice as well. So I'm Mary Catherine from the COPSA Institute for Alzheimer's Disease and Related Disorders and Care to Caregivers. And we're here to share with you some of the wisdom that we've learned over the years. We had an adult day program for years. We were actually the first dementia-specific day program in the state of New Jersey. We transitioned away from that, but we're still here to support you. So we know everybody is doing great work at their adult day centers right now, and we're happy to offer a little bit of enrichment along the way to help refresh you and make your day a little bit better as well. So we have a few learning objectives here. So we hope by the end of our time here today, we'll be done by 4:30. You're going to be able to talk about the Just Right Challenge and how it applies in the adult day setting. We hope you'll be able to explain how to coach caregivers on home activities. That's the second half of what we're going to talk about. How do we help carry this over to the home? So our friends, we know they have a great day when they're with us at the center, but how can we coach the family so that they can help them have a great day when they are home as well? And then hopefully you'll be able to identify how you're going to implement the Just Right Challenge in your adult day program. And maybe that just means you're going to go back and you're going to share this with your colleagues and have some conversations with it as well. So as we're getting started, I would love to hear from everyone. What is your adult day facility? If you want to type in chat and let us know that, and let us know what part of the state you're logging in from. We'd love to see that people are coming from all over the state and that there are other good people doing this good work around the state. We're not the only ones. And type in there and let us know what's your role. Maybe you're the social worker, maybe you're the recreation person, maybe you're the CNA or the nurse. Would love to hear from you. So if you want to type in chat and let us know. Where's your center? What's the name of your center? And what is your role at your center? We Care in Red Bank. Welcome, Diane. So glad you were here with us. You're the director of nursing here and with the activity director, two people. Wonderful. Jenny's here from Active Day in North Bergen, and she's the director there. They're in North Bergen. I've been to both of those programs, love both of your programs. And Barbara, as an echo, Barbara, where are you from, Barbara? And Sandra is from Logan Township. Welcome, welcome, Sandra and Carlene. Carly, she is at the Courtyard Adult Day Center in Clinton. Oh, I need to visit that place right there. And you are the activity director. Wonderful. Sandra is from Generation Station. So welcome, friends. So glad that you are here with us today. Now, oh, Sandra, I'm just going to put you on mute there, all right? If I hear, unless you want to share something, Sandra? No, okay.
Yes, I want
People are.
that big echo.
Oh, Sandra, are you logged in twice, maybe? It looks like you're logged in twice, so go look on your screen and try to unlog one of them. That could be the problem. Sometimes there's an echo when you're logged in twice. So while you're working on that, use the chat, okay? And if you can log out of one of those and you want to share later, by all means, unmute yourself. So now when we think about the Just Right activities, we're going to learn more what that means, but it means that everything is just kind of in sync at our program and everybody's engaged all day long and we don't have any behavioral issues. Of course, that's a dream for all of us in adult day, right? So, but just as we're getting started here, we'd love to hear from you on a scale of 0 to 5. 0 being I'm not confident at all, and 5, yeah, I'm pretty confident. How confident are you with adapting activities to be just right for your participants? There is no right or wrong here. This is all subjective, but just as we're getting started, we would love to hear how confident are you in adapting activities that they're just going to be on target for every single person in your group? Our activity director says 4. Love that. I would agree with that down there at WeCare. All right, I've been there, a great program, and I've heard things from participants who attend there on a daily basis. So some of our other friends think about that too. And it might be different for your staff, right? Jenny says 4. I've been to Jenny's program again. Great. That's a thriving, thriving center. So for some of us, we might have some staff members who feel really confident in adapting activities to meet all levels. For some of us, we might have some newer staff and they might not be as confident. So those levels might vary. So hopefully you're going to take away a little refresher for your high functioning staff members, and maybe you'll get a little bit of something that can help your newer staff members so they can feel more confident and proficient in adapting activities as well. And Carly is saying, I think 4 also, I love that. So that means we have lots of people in this room who are experts and who are acing this. So we really look forward to hearing your feedback as well and hearing your examples. So now the benefits of the Just Right Challenge is that when we meet individuals where they are, we can reduce the stress. And hey, we want calm participants because that's a snowball. When one person's calm, it helps everybody else be calm. We've all seen what it's like when somebody does get agitated, how that can kind of snowball to everybody else in the room as well. When we're doing the just right activities, we can increase participation, and we love that. It makes it more fun for the clients. And for me, when I was in adult day, it made my day go faster and it made me had more fun when everybody was just kind of driving with the activities and driving with the environment and driving with each other as well. And it really helps preserve dignity because people aren't being asked to do something that they can't do and then feeling frustrated and feeling bad about themselves as well. And that's really the whole point of Adult Day, right? Is that when people come, we want them to feel like they are competent, they're capable, they matter, they're a part of a community as well. So that's what's so important about the Just Right model is that we are matching a person's cognitive abilities, which can be changing over time. We know if a person has a memory loss disease, things are going to get worse as time goes on. So the just right is means that we're matching the task that we're asking and the demands to what the person's brain capacity is, which might be changing over time. So I'm wondering, what have you noticed about your participants as far as the changing over time with the brain function? Like, have you noticed with some of your participants that maybe they're a little more engaged, a little more alert at the beginning of the week, and then they're less alert at the end of the week, or it might be the other way around? Beginning of the week, they're not that connected and they're not that engaged. They can't handle as many complex tasks. And as the week goes on and they spend more time with you, they're able to do a little bit more. So, what have you noticed about your participants? Or maybe for some of your participants, this could fluctuate throughout the day. Maybe they're not that with it in the morning, and in the afternoon, they're kind of more able to engage, or maybe it's the other way around. They're really engaged in the morning and forget it. They're sleeping or they're up and they're anxious and agitated for the rest of the day. So, what have you noticed about your participants and their fluctuating abilities over time in your at your day center? What have you noticed? You can type in chat, or if anybody wants to unmute, we'd love to hear your voice too. Diane is sharing families are sending their loved ones later in the dementia diagnosis and later in the day is more confused. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, they can't get them there when they're higher functioning, right? Which is when they could really get a lot of benefit out of adult day programs. So it's harder for them to integrate 100%. And later in the day, it might be hard to get them up and get them dressed and get them out so they can be more confused. And that can be hard for us when we're trying to integrate them into an activity, a group activity. So thank you for sharing that, Diane. How about what has anybody else noticed at their center? Are there particular times of the day that seem to be better or worse for some of your participants? I know we had a client who every Monday she was so off. She was just completely out of it, couldn't engage. And we talked with the family about that. And here we found out that she was drinking over the weekends, that, prior to getting her dementia diagnosis, she loved wine. So they were letting her drink over the weekend. So she was literally showing up hungover on Mondays, which accounted for her not being able to participate. So Jenny is sharing, we have a large group who have dementia, so activities for them have to be constantly changing because of their attention span. And the reason why I switched my dementia clients to morning because of their behavior in the afternoon. Thank you, Jenny, for sharing that. So mornings better, afternoons challenging for memory loss. And Diana sharing trivia and word games are better in the morning, right? Because sometimes people might have more cognitive reserves to do that, like higher level thinking. And Barbara is sharing, we noticed the first day back, they are excited to be back, but they are slow to get back into the swing of things. That's so understandable, right? So this is something that we have to kind of assess as we're going through our day and going through our week. And this model really helps us adjust so we can meet the person where they are and help them have a successful experience for whatever is going on for them. So our whole presentation today is based on a model developed by Claudia Allen, who is an occupational therapist, and she and her colleagues spent time studying individuals who had cognitive impairment due to major depressive disorder and also schizophrenia. And they came up with this model based on what they were noticing about them and on their interventions that they did to kind of maximize the person's ability to engage, still being very respectful of what the person's limitations were. So that's where we get this from. So we can use this across the lifespan. We can use it with our friends who have cognitive disabilities, and we can use it with our friends who might have other chronic mental health conditions as well. But it helps us focus on what they can safely do rather than what their limitations are. And everybody's kind of shared here that these levels can kind of fluctuate for our older friends who have memory impairment in our programs. So why the Just Right Challenge matters in dementia care? It matters because we want the person to feel challenged because we know that's good for the brain. The more the brain is challenged, the more synapses are firing and it helps increase neuroplasticity. So we want the person to be challenged, but also to feel successful. We know that's priceless when we have a client who's doing a craft project with us and it turns out well, we know how excited they are about that. Or if we're doing a motor activity and they're, getting the beanbag in the cornhole and they kind of win and everybody cheers, we see what a wonderful moment that is for them. So we want this to happen with all of the activities, and this model helps us strive towards that. So what this model does, it helps us to quickly grade up or down what we are doing so the person can better participate. Maybe we're going to adapt the actual task, the thing that we're asking them to do. Maybe we're going to adapt something in the environment that might be overly sensory stimulating for them, or maybe even the way that we're giving them cues. Maybe we've been giving them verbal cues and that's not working. So we might switch it up and we might start to give them visual cues or give them tactile cues as well. But this model can help us adapt in all of these ways. We know that as dementia progresses, a person's going to have a harder time processing. They could process things a bit slower, so they need extra time. And one of our friends already mentioned here with the attention span, right? That can not be so great. Problem solving can be harder for our friends with memory problems, and it can be hard for them to kind of learn new habits, right? But we want to, well, we know when things aren't working, when the activities are mismatched to the person's abilities. How do we know that? We know when a person refuses to do something. Sometimes it's because it might be too hard for them. So if something's too hard, they might get agitated and want to get up and walk away, or they might just refuse to participate or be really disagreeable as they are participating in the activity. If it's too easy for them, they might become disengaged. And if they're disengaged in the group activity, then they might start to get engaged in something else, which could be
So
really
when we try to help
distracting.
when he really is in need.
Yeah,
It
but
makes sense to me.
So, and if it's too easy and they're not engaged enough, they could start to want to wander or get into some other activity, which then might pull us or other staff away or distract our other clients who are engaged in that. Or if it's too easy, they might be apathetic and they just might sit back and they might not want to participate at all. If the activity is just right for the individual, they're going to feel successful. They're going to feel like their dignity is fully preserved. They're going to participate, and we are going to see that joy on their face. And I think that's what we all want. We live for that in adult day. So, just right challenge means that we're going to match the brain ability and the task. So whatever that person's capability is in that moment on that day, we're going to try to match the task request to that. And this might vary, as our friends mentioned, that I think Jenny said she has the dementia clients coming in the morning because the afternoon just doesn't go so well for them. That's a great environmental kind of cue there, is to tailor the time when the person is there and we're asking them to do cognitive things. So we want to match the person, we want to match the task, and we want to match the environment as well. So this is really, really important. So the environment includes if there's any noise, if there's any distractions, maybe the lighting, it could be the setup of the room, or it could be the social demands. Maybe they're sitting next to a really chatty person, and that chatty person is really distracting them. So that could be a part of the environment as well. So we have to think about all of this. And think about too, I don't know, maybe some of you have some individuals who have Lewy body disease. And with this disease in particular, we see that there can be large fluctuations in a person's ability. Like 1 hour, they might be verbally fluent and coherent and able to answer trivia questions, but the next hour, they might be talking gibberish, they might not be making sense, and they might be very disconnected from their environment as well. So knowing how to switch it up and to match it based on where the person is in that moment can help us be really, really successful. I'm wondering, do we have any friends here today who have any clients who have Lewy body disease or who have marked fluctuations in their attention and their ability to participate within the day? Does anybody see this? And we'll pause for a minute for you to share with us in chat here. Has anybody noticed any rapid fluctuations throughout the course of a few hour period in some of their clients and their ability to engage? And do any of them have Lewy body disease? Wondering, do you know what the diagnosis is for your clients? That's just a general question. We'd love to know that too. Diane, one gentleman with Lewy body is completely quiet and no verbalizations. Okay. And Jenny is saying, yes, I have one with Lewy body and they change often. Right. So We hear caregivers talk about that. He was completely fine in the morning. We were carrying on a conversation and he was helping me figure out something with the finances. And then 2 hours later, he's just hallucinating and seeing things and he's just making no sense. So just we hold space for that. We hold space for everything in adult day. So thinking about what is this person capable of now? What is the task I am asking them to do? And how is the environment either supporting that or how is the environment working against that is really important. Let's check in with chat too, because we'd love to hear from you and what's going on with you. What challenges do you encounter in offering just right activities? So I know we're kind of talking about the theory now, like it would be great if things kind of work this way all the time. And you might be thinking, wow, this is just so unrealistic. This isn't what really happens in adult day because of, tell me, what are the things that kind of put a wrench in having the just right activities for each and every person at the program? Carly is sharing, absolutely. I've noticed rapid change as I work with members with dementia, and something can always change day to day, hour to hour. Something as simple as going to the bathroom can suddenly become difficult. Right. Maybe they were fine in the morning with the steps of toileting, and after lunch, they need help with everything. That is so, so very common, right? Diana sharing some frustration with members that call out when other members are doing a craft. So, yeah, some particular things that we're doing might kind of not sit well with some of our members, right? And that could be distracting for our members. And Jenny is sharing to find something that they all like because there are many of them. So we have to put different groups and different activities and give them options of which table they want to play with and switch as they get bored. So, wow, you're really offering a lot at the same time, Jenny. And maybe some of our other friends are doing that here too. Different interests and different ability levels. This is a huge challenge in adult day. How do we bring together all these people with cognitive impairment and diverse cultural backgrounds and diverse abilities? And how do we get them all to participate in the same thing? Diana sharing also at times it's not enough staff for one-on-one with crafts, and clients don't understand when they can't get help with theirs. So true. Probably all of us here are understaffed, and we know that the needs for our clients are great, and oftentimes we do need one-on-one. So these are really real challenges. So we wish we could solve everybody's issues with our great just right challenge here, but we know that that isn't possible. So it's good for us to take a moment and acknowledge that there are some things inherent in our staffing right now, in our funding right now, and just some things that are extra challenging related to cognitive impairment, which can kind of always be throwing wrenches at us. But maybe just one thing that we're going to pick up here today will help us think on the fly so we can better see ourselves through some of these situations as well. So, how about at your facility right now? I know everybody has lots of experience here. We have some seasoned professionals here. What are you already doing at your facility to adapt activities to meet participants at the various levels of cognitive and engagement levels that they have? Jenny already shared that they have multiple groups and they have options for activities going on at the same time. That's a great thing if you have the space and if you have the staffing to kind of accommodate that. We know we have some day programs here and some of our other friends who might not be here who do have multiple rooms and they have like a higher functioning group and they might have a more moderate functioning group or a lower functioning group all at the same time. So would love to hear what are you already doing to kind of switch things up to increase engagement for clients who are at different levels. Sometimes different activities are at a different table. Sometimes we have to do that, right? Thank you for sharing that, Barbara. Um, And Diane is sharing, we offer a lower functioning group, craft group, and higher functioning in different areas. I love that. I love that. It's good if you can do that. If you can't do that, and maybe sometimes we can't because we only have like one room and everybody has to be together, there could be a few things that we could do to kind of break it down a little bit. And Jenny is sharing, I'm lucky that I have a great activity director, which is versatile. So we have the center divided based on cognition and capabilities to do activities. So thank you for sharing that everybody. So, but even within those activities that you are doing, there are still some simple things that we can kind of do. We could reduce the materials, maybe if there are too many options for a person. If we're doing a craft activity, if we have 10 markers out, maybe we just put out 2 markers for them, and that might be more suitable to their ability to make a choice. We might be able to provide visual examples instead of just using verbal examples. If it's too easy for the person that they're feeling a bit understimulated, we could add some extra steps on to the activity that we're doing to kind of challenge them a little bit more. We might be able to offer them greater choices than we could for somebody who's a little more impaired. Or we could even change the role, like for our friends who say that we have lots of individuals who might need one-on-one support with the craft activities. Do you have someone in the group who has a higher cognitive ability and maybe isn't as advanced with their dementia, who could sit next to that person who needs one-on-one and be kind of that peer who can kind of help that person and be that person's support? I'm wondering, is anybody doing anything like that? Are you pairing up your higher functioning clients with your lower functioning clients during an activity to kind of support that lower functioning client and also to build up the higher functioning client to give them a purpose and to give them an important social role? Has anybody had any success with that? Keep thinking, type in chat, but that can kind of be a good way to kind of add something on for the person who's understimulated to give them a little bit more and to get them to kind of help a person who does need a little more support if we're understaffed, but if we're right there in the room with them and we're supervising the craft activity, um, they're not doing it alone. We're right there with them. And Anne is sharing, think that's a great idea. We sort of keep low functioning separate. So you might have heard this story before, but we tried that years ago in our adult day program. We said, okay, we're going to divide it up. Higher functioning and moderately functioning people can come into our program on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and we're going to have a lower functioning group, just lower functioning group on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We thought this was going to be great. Guess what? It was a complete bomb because the Monday, Wednesday, Friday with the higher functioning and moderate functioning was fine because everybody could keep engaging in everything. When we just had lower functioning clients together, nobody was doing anything and nobody could do anything. So that was a real experiential learning for us that, hey, there can be some benefits to having mixed levels together in one activity because the higher functioning people with their level of engagement really kind of prompt the lower functioning people and kind of pull them up to function a little bit higher. And we can give the higher functioning people kind of a role in the activity to be engaging with their peers that can be socially rich for both of them. So sometimes it's just something to think about. I'm not saying this is going to work for everybody, but when we're thinking about the individual's ability, somebody who has a higher level might be able to sit next to someone who needs support with a craft activity or with another simple activity. So, and Diane is sharing sometimes only with bingo, but not with craft. So it's going to depend on what the craft activity is. But hopefully, just we can be thinking about this. How is the person engaged? Are they engaged enough? Can I give them a leadership or a supportive role? Still under my watchful eye, I'm right there, but make it a really simple task where they can be helping someone else as well. So let's dive in a little bit more to what the Allen's cognitive levels are. And we're going to look for the just right challenge to keep them engaged and to keep them feeling accomplished. Now we know we have like the mini mental, right? Maybe you use the mini mental where you are, or some people use the MOCA, or some people use the slums to kind of gauge where a person's cognitive status is. So that's one thing that we can use for diagnostic criteria. But the Allen's cognitive level is not a diagnostic test. It can just help us spot cognitive conditions, and then it can be used in conjunction with the other medical tests and screening tests to help us engage clients more. It can help us think about what interventions can I offer for this client so they can have the just right challenge and feel really, really engaged and feel really, really accomplished. So we're going to look more in depth at this, and you're going to receive all of this in a nice handout. So you'll be able to digest this all on your own and share it with your colleagues as well. But it's based on 6 different levels. Now, this is not the same as like the stages of dementia. You hear people talk about 6 stages of dementia, 8 stages, 3 stages. Everybody has different ideas about that. This is Allen's cognitive level visual timeline. So we're going to look at level 6. Level 6 is the highest level of functioning, where the person is really thinking independently. Chances are most of us do not have clients at level 6 in our program, because I think Diane mentioned earlier, we get clients at adult day much later, right? People aren't running to attend adult day. Oftentimes that happens when the person is more advanced. So we might not have a whole lot of level 6 people. Some of us might have some individuals at level 6 who really are independent and have a high cognitive functioning. You know, many of us might have some individuals at level 5, which is the next level down. Chances are a lot of us at our programs have individuals at level 4, level 3, level 2, and maybe at level 1, 2. The person might be in a wheelchair. They need assistance with everything. Maybe they're not moving a whole lot. Maybe it's just more passive participation for them. They might not be able to engage in craft activities or anything like that. But let's delve in a little bit deeper to look at what these levels are. So for the level 1, which is the lowest level, a person definitely has awareness, right? We have a little chart here that gives some more examples, but we have to assist them with more than 75% of the tasks that they are doing. They might be able to independently lift some of their body parts, but you know, they really need a lot of support. So chances are most of us don't have a lot of people who are at level 1. Level 2, we may have some clients who are there, and we're going to have to give them support for about 75% of the tasks that we're doing at adult day. They might need help for transfers. They can't be left unattended at all. They'll need help with the steps of toileting and maybe in eating. And they might have some memory, some intact memory, and they're able to participate a little bit. Level 3, the person might need like 50% assistance. They may be able to take care of themselves in the toilet, or when they're eating, they could participate in activities. They might respond more to tactile cues that we are giving them, and they might be able to engage in some activities, but be really easily distracted and get off task, and then need cueing from us to kind of re-engage in the activities as well. Level 4, they might need some assistance, less assistance from us. This would definitely be our more independent clients. They could need supervision for their safety. They might be able to prepare little bits of meals on their own, or do like a more complex craft project, or engage in a cognitive activity that is more complex. They might be able to walk themselves to familiar places when they're in the community. They might need reminders to take their medicines, and they might even be able to live alone if somebody's checking in on them. And then level 5, they can live alone. They just need some minimal supervision and supports. They might have some poor judgment, but they still might be able to do things like read or engage in hobbies or activities that they've done. And when they're at level 6, the client is kind of completely independent. So these are kind of the different levels. you might be able to start to think about where are the levels that most of our clients are falling in our adult day program. So identifying the different levels and the capabilities of those levels helps us design the right activities. So for our clients who are at level 1, it might be all passive participation. They're listening to the music. They're seeing what's going on around them. They might be seeing the visuals if we're doing scarves for exercise. So it's more awareness. For level 2, large body movements, like they might be able to do some seated exercise. Maybe if they can stand, they can do some of that as well, or some clapping or some ball tossing. For our level 3, they could be doing some manual actions, maybe some simple craft activities or other motor activities that we're doing. For level 4, maybe things like bingo. Our friends mentioned bingo. If it's a familiar activity, they may be able to participate in that with significant cueing. And if it's level 5 or level 6, we can do some complex things with them, cognitively and also motorly as well. So that's just a brief overview of what the different levels are. And maybe that makes sense based on what you're seeing with your clients at work. So now what do we want to consider when we're adapting the activities? So we want to think about how we can grade the activity either up to make it more stimulating for our level 4 and 5 client, or how do we grade it down to make it more successful for our level 3 or our level 2 client. So we want to think about that. So for instance, if it's a physical activity, if it's someone who doesn't have the motor ability anymore, and I think everybody here is already instinctually doing this. We know this. We want to think about we do the activity seated instead of standing, even if it's like a bowling game or a toss game. Maybe it's best for the person to do that from a seated position. Another way for us to think about it is if it's too challenging for the person, how can we simplify the task? Maybe we get it started for them. And then when after it's initiated, they can continue a little bit on their own. Or if it's a 3-step task, how can we break that down into a 1-step task? Or maybe it's something that they need to do one-on-one with someone, with an extra support person, or maybe as we talked about, like with a higher functioning peer who is there, who could sit next to them and assist them as well. So, and why does this help? Because when we're asking someone to do something that is within their ability level, it decreases the chances of them feeling frustrated or distressed, and it increases the chances of them experiencing success. So simple things that we're probably already doing. If a person has low vision, we want to increase the light and the visual contrast. That's a simple way that we can kind of grade down. If there's too much noise and stimulation, we want to turn that stuff down as well. And Diane is sharing with us, for a lot of the members, we hand out musical instruments, cymbals, types of things for more alert, tambourines and shaker sticks for lower functioning while we play music. They love music. Thank you, Diane, for sharing that. That's a great equalizer, right? Because people can kind of jump in when they have something handheld and they can do something that feels comfortable for their ability level. So good for us to be offering things like this, and then just to be aware and to observe and to talk with our colleagues about this. We want to observe, how is the client doing and how are they feeling when they're in the midst of the activity? Do we have to grade something up to increase their engagement, or do we have to grade something down to make it more comfortable for them so they can feel successful with what they are doing as well? Think about a baking activity. That's kind of a good example. Somebody who's at a level 6 or a level 5, we could probably give them the recipe. They could put all the ingredients in themselves and safely make that muffin mix and put it in the pan and put it in the oven and set the timer. Somebody who's at stage 4 or stage 3, they might need some prompting for some of the steps. If we got them started, they might be able to do that. Somebody who's at stage 2, They might be able to sit there and stir if we put the bowl in front of them with the batter. And somebody who's at stage one, for them, it might be more passively watching. It might be that we offer them the bowl of batter to smell. So it's a passive participation as well. So just good for us to kind of think about that. Whatever activity we're doing, how can I grade this up for stimulation for those who are at the higher level of the functioning level, and how can I grade it down to make it interesting for the people who might not have the same cognitive abilities? So, would love to hear what are some things Diane shared that music really works in their day program. So, what are some other things that you are already doing that you notice people are consistently participating in? And that kind of hits across all levels, that kind of gives an entry point for everybody to participate as they are able. What are you noticing? Maybe you're doing some of these things like creative activities, painting, making music, or crafting. Maybe you're doing fulfilling activities like folding laundry or doing puzzles. What's working best at your center? Maybe technology. If you have clients who are at level 5, level 6, they might be enjoying things on the computer. Reminiscent are very good for stage 4, 5, and 2. Oh, Barbara is sharing a dance party. I love that because people can participate as they are able, right? Sensory activities, that's a great thing for individuals who are at level 3, 2, or 1 because they can participate in that more passively. And Jenny is sharing, we do a lot of creative activities. Music here is all the time and they love dancing. I love that. So they can participate at whatever level they are on. Oh, and Diane is giving out manicures. Love that. And hand massages for others with conversation while performing those. And I love that. And we know that everybody who's here from Adult Day, we're tailoring our interactions with the person based on what their abilities are. And that's what the Allen's cognitive just right activities are. And sensory boxes. I love that. So somebody who is at a higher Allen's cognitive level could probably talk about the objects and describe the objects. And we have people who might be at level 3 or level 2 who just might be able to feel those or pass those to a neighbor. And maybe our friends who are at level 1 who are just holding on to those. So things like this are really, really important to kind of help us. So well, one idea, just would love to hear from people. What would you do? How would you adapt like a painting activity or even like another craft activity at your center to kind of help people participate in all different levels? What would it look like for somebody who was in a stage at level 6 or 5 to participate in a painting activity? They'd probably be pretty independent, right? You would just say, here's your paints, here's the easels, let's paint, right? But what might it look like for somebody who's at stage 3 or stage 4? And Diana is sharing, give only one color of paint at a time for everyone. Right. For somebody who's at stage 3 or 4 or 2, one color of paint might be great. For somebody who's at a stage 5 or 6, they might be better stimulated if you give them 6 colors to kind of pick from. Barbara is sharing 6 or 5 would have more brush choices. I love that. And maybe a blank canvas. Right, right. But maybe somebody who's at a level 4 or level 5 would have a printed canvas and we would hand them a brush with the paint already loaded on it. Exactly. So this is what we kind of have to be assessing. What are the person's abilities? Let's not do the same thing for everyone. Let's kind of think about this person. What do they need? Do they need more choices? Do they need less choices? Do they need more stimulation or do they need less stimulation? And we can apply this to all of the activities that we do. So when you notice when somebody is disengaged, when they're bored, when they start to get up and they start to wander, or they start to call out in the middle of an activity and it's disrupting everyone else, maybe their level, their cognitive abilities and their functioning level is not being matched appropriately to the task at hand. So, do they need us to upgrade the activity for them, or do they need us to downgrade the activity or the environment for them as well? We had a client, she did not have Alzheimer's disease. She had oh, I can't think what the name of it is now, but she had a mass in her brain and she had to have it removed. And then she developed encephalitis and she had a stent in her brain. So her dementia looked very different from most of our clients who had Alzheimer's disease. So you did a cognitive activity. She was yelling out the answer within 1 second of you asking the question. And it really didn't give anybody else a chance to kind of respond because people with Alzheimer's disease have a slower processing level. So it was really disruptive to everybody. It was really stimulating for her because she was getting what she needed, but it wasn't helping our group process. So one thing that we did with her was we gave her a clipboard. We had her sit right next to us up at the front, and we taught her instead of yelling out the answer every time we ask a question, write it down here and we're going to look over and glance and we're going to tell you if it's right. We'll give you a yes or no. So that was a way to kind of address her high needs by not detracting from what the needs of the majority of the group who were at a level 4 and a level 3. So that's like an example of just how you can kind of tailor things up and tailor things down. And I'm sure everybody is already doing that at their centers as well. But just encourage you to think about that. When somebody is being a problem, chances are we don't have the just right activities for them that is aligned with what their cognitive abilities are. So what can we adjust? The task, the environment, or the activity to make it a more appropriate level of engagement for them. So we're going to switch right now, just in the few minutes that we have left here. It's good for us to kind of convey this information to families as well. And maybe you're already doing that and you're talking with your family members about things they can be doing at home to keep the person engaged. Because when you think about it, you are noticing so much about the person who's attending the program. And you might be seeing things that they're capable of that their family member isn't seeing because they're not sitting home doing craft activities with them because they're too busy cooking and cleaning and taking care of the bills and trying to take care of themselves as well. So I'm just wondering, how confident is everybody in talking with family members or care partners about activities that the person can be doing at home? Or are you doing that at all? Let me know. Let me know in chat there. Is anybody at your center having conversations with caregivers about things that they can be doing at home to engage their family member? You can let me know your comfort level and let me know if you are having those type of conversations with people. I think Barbara's saying yes. I think that yes was related to that. Is anybody having those conversations with family members? It's important, right? Yes, Jenny says that she is having those conversations. We get lots of information about what the person is capable of. We see what they can do. Oftentimes, we're not focused on what they can't do. That's why we're so wonderful at Adult Day, is we see what they can do. We want to be able to convey this to the families. And Barbara is saying we let them know what they did and what they like to do on our daily sheets. I love that. So reporting that on our daily sheets. So it's good for us to convey this information to families. And Barbara is sharing even their new favorite food. I love that too. So yeah, share with your family members what the person is doing well with. And it might be something that their family member family member never expressed an interest in doing. Let them know about that, and then they can try that at home. If the person's more appropriately stimulated and engaged at home, they're less likely to wander. They're less likely to get into trouble. They're less likely to take apart the light switch or to stuff things down the toilet if they're engaged in appropriate activities. So we are a great resource for our families to help them with that. And Diane is sharing, if they ask, yes, definitely. But again, they are overwhelmed and they may not follow through at home. They need a break from their loved one's behaviors. So true. So if what we know of the person, if we can think of something to suggest for that family member to do it at home, and maybe it's something as simple as the client really stays focused when we're doing a coloring activity. Maybe we give the caregiver two coloring sheets and a pack of crayons and send it home with them on Friday afternoon and say, here, maybe this will be something that will work for you this weekend, and let them try that at home. And then we give them a little coaching. They might not do it on their own, but if you sit down next to them and pick up a crayon and start doing it, they might start to mimic you. And then once they get started, maybe they'll keep going, and then you can get up and you can go take care of getting lunch ready for everyone. But if we give them some coaching about that, they might be able to implement some successful activities at home. And Jenny is sharing, I take pictures and videos and send to the family. I love that because then families see what their person can do. And Barbara is sharing, we tell them things to give them hope and let them know their loved ones can do things with a little support. So good. Love that you're supporting that. And Carlene is sharing, I try to do daily sheets as well. I also communicate with families for what they can and they can't do at home. So keep doing that, everyone. I love that you are doing that. But think about maybe some simple things that you could suggest, and maybe you write it up on a piece of paper, or like the thing that just came to the top of my mind was a coloring page. Send them home with a coloring page. And maybe if they see that that worked and that gave them a half an hour of their family member being engaged with something, maybe they'll go out and they'll get more at the dollar store or the Five Below store. So think about that. We want to be providing education to our family members as well. And maybe we can provide something to them. We can give them something simple, and maybe that's even something we could, work on with our clients, a little craft activity or something like that that we could send home with them. So we see our clients really take pride in the work that they do when they are at our center. So giving them more opportunities for that could be helpful as well. So we're running out of time here, so I'm just going to speed through this. But the bottom line here is just really important for us to kind of um, provide information to families about these levels of functioning as well. And we can say that in ways such as, there's different ways to look at a person's abilities, and I've noticed that your family member needs some extra time to complete tasks, and they really respond well to the routine that we have here. So it might be good if you have a really strong routine for Saturdays and Sundays when they're not here at the program. Or, we notice that your family member, if we're talking about level 3, that they get really overstimulated when there's lots of people talking and the music might be playing. So we find that when they're in a quieter environment, they're really able to do better. So you might want to think about that at home, like not keeping the TV on all day long. Or if you're going to ask them it's time to come get a shower, maybe you turn off the TV, you turn off the radio, you stand in front of them and you ask them that question as well. Or if it's level 2, that we notice that your family member does much better when we take them to the bathroom on a schedule. We offer them frequent snacks, and we're standing right in front of them when we're asking them to do something. So educating family members about the different levels and what might be needed at those levels can really empower them to provide better care at home as well. So we're not going to have time to think about a participant, everybody, because we're running out of time here. So, but let's just think from all the things that you do at your center. We'll make this one of our wrap up things to talk about here. What activity that you're doing on a regular basis that you know your clients enjoy could be something that your caregivers could replicate at home? And while you're thinking about that, Barbara is sharing here. We tell them things to give them and hope that they'll do that. And Carly is sharing, I try to do daily sheets as well. I also communicate with families for what they can do at home. I love that. So, what might be something specific? If anybody wants to share, what's something specific that you're already doing at your center that you could encourage the family members to try at home? Any ideas? There's no right and there's no wrong here. And maybe you're thinking about a client in particular who loves to do something at the center, and maybe the family member isn't doing that at home with them. What might be a suggestion about something you could tell a family member to do at home? One thing that we've seen in the past, like for some of our clients who have lots of energy and they're up and about and they want to be doing something, simple things like, getting the laundry, a basket of towels, and getting them to fold the towels or getting them to kind of put papers inside envelopes. Those are like simple, repetitive activities that people level 4, level 3 might find satisfaction in. Suggesting things like that might help. And Diane is sharing chair exercise or go on short walks. We walk inside and having a walking club. I love that too. Letting them know, hey, your family member really enjoys the walks that we do. It would be good if this weekend you could walk with them for 15 minutes each day. Let me know how that goes. We'll chat on Monday to see how that goes. But sometimes families need encouragement, they need education, and they need coaching and direction from us. So please don't hold back. Offer that for your family members as well. Jenny is sharing, I have a couple. She has Alzheimer's and he has Parkinson's. In the beginning, he did not want to come or do anything. And now she wants to come every day because she loves the exercises with music. I love that. So a simple thing would be encourage your family on the days when you're not at the center, put the music on for 10 minutes and do some dancing together. That's a great thing to do. And Carly is sharing, I encourage families to break down tasks or simplify the goal of what it is they want to achieve. Love that, Carly. I find I have many people who just want to feel helpful, and giving achievable tasks helps with concentration and confidence. 100%. Sometimes the caregiver is asking too much of their family member, and that's why the task isn't getting done. That could be toileting, it could be bathing, it could be eating, it could be taking out the garbage. So coaching caregivers on breaking down tasks, very, very important. And Barbara is sharing, we tell them the things that they respond very well to. We had several folks buy the same bread that we offer here at the center, even how they respond to foods they love, like a root beer float. I love that. So sharing what's working at your center and encouraging the family member to offer some of the same things at home is really, really important. Teaching them how to break things down. I had a caregiver the other day at the support group. She said, I realized that I can't give my husband multi-step commands anymore. Instead of saying, Paul, bring me the bag and close the garage door, now I can just say one thing at a time. Now I just say, Paul, bring me the bag. So she's learned. So that's our role. We're the professionals. It's good for us to coach them on how to break things down so they're more skill appropriate for the person's level of ability. So as we're wrapping up here, we talked about a few things. In summary, we talked about the benefits of the match between the ability of the person and the task at hand. We talked about ways to adapt activities to accommodate varied levels. And we talked about the importance of coaching caregivers on just right challenge for home engagement. So would love to hear from you as we're wrapping up from the things that we talked about here today. What will you take with you from today's session to support your work in Adult Day? What's one thing that you're going to take with you to hopefully help you have a better day on the job? Or maybe share with your colleagues too. What might you want to share with your colleagues to help everybody have a better day at your adult day center? What did you pick up here today that might help you on the job? Any small thing that might feel achievable. Maybe it might be that you're going to talk to caregivers about what they can do at home to match ability level with the task request. Maybe it would be that you're going to talk with your staff about the Allen's levels and you're going to have all of that on your follow-up handouts as well. So think about that. Encourage everybody to think about that. I'm going to send the handouts this afternoon, so you will have those. We're here for you at Care to Caregivers. Thank you everybody for being here. Thank you for showing up for these 4 sessions here. We're so happy that you were able to join us. Thank you for all you are doing to create great places where our friends with memory loss can come and feel successful and good about themselves during the day. And Diane shared, I love everyone's ideas, taking pictures of members enjoying activities. We do that and post some on our Facebook site, but we could do more. Families love to see their loved ones in action. Thank you, Diane. And Jenny said, thank you. It was really nice. So thank you, everybody, for taking time to think about this and to share your expertise as well. We love your feedback. If you want to click this QR code, take a picture and fill it out. We want to get better at what we do so we can better support you. Let us know what you do need. We're here to support you. So fill this out. I'm going to send this out in the follow-up email as well. So if you can take a moment and just click that, we would really, really appreciate that. So I want to thank everybody for being here. Please reach out if there's anything we can do to assist you, and we look forward to seeing you again. And also, if you would love to have some training for your staff at Adult Day, this is your chance or your time to reach out. We're planning our schedule for next year, so reach out. I'm happy to come and talk with your staff and offer an in-service on this topic, communication, so many different things we can kind of talk about, managing behavioral disturbances, but here at COPSA, we're here to support you and your training needs for your staff. So thank you, friends, for being here, and everybody be well, and we look forward to to being with you again.